Hey everybody. So I'm just making this quick video. I'm just thinking about it's funny, it's like, where do I look? Look, if I look right here, alright, I'll just do that anyway. Our political climate in America is such trash right now, man. That's on all sides, quite honestly. Just all sides. And in the middle. Quite honestly, I don't trust any politician. Just the unhinged greed that is happening, the blatant treachery. Again, this is both sides, all sides. Is so exhausting. It's disheartening. I think about Americans, period. Regardless what side you're on, what your thought process is. This is both sides' fault. It really is. Always plunging for power. I'm almost at the place of saying this isn't America anymore. But she ain't dead yet. But she surely is on life support. There's a lot of great things about America. A lot of ugly things too. What if we were to think about what we're watching as the reality of an individual? Everybody got some baggage, right? Everybody. I got baggage, you got baggage, your neighbor has baggage, people you get your services from have baggage. Everybody has baggage. Some people's baggage is lighter than others, some are heavier than others. Everybody has baggage. Some baggage is easier to deal with, and other baggage is harder to deal with. Some baggage you don't want to even open up because you know it's just going to be horrific. And other baggage, you're like, yeah, let me get at it because I remember that baggage in my life and I want to help you with yours. I'm such a mess. On one hand, I enjoy talking about what's going on in the world. I like watching what's going on in leadership, and I think that people should keep an eye or an ear to the ground or eye in what's going on, what decisions are being made. I think everybody feels to some degree betrayed. I think that we should feel betrayed because in some way we have. But by who is really the question. I think it's not that we've been betrayed by politicians, whatever side. Have little concern for who you voted for, why you voted for them. In America, we can have ideas and we can have thoughts that oppose each other. But those opposite thoughts, if you really think about the word oppose, is opposite. It's not, it doesn't have to be, oh, I oppose that thought, therefore you're my enemy. It can just be, I oppose it because I have an opposite idea about that thought or idea or theory or philosophy or belief system. When I was a kid, I knew that consequence was always a bad thing. Nobody ever taught me that consequence could also be a good thing. And it wasn't until I was a bit older that I learned that consequences, there's good consequences, there's bad consequences. Just like there's a bad oppose or an unhealthy or dishonest oppose or unhealthy whatever, it's an opposite idea or thought. Why don't we stop making enemies out of everybody? You don't have to be my enemy just because we have different ideas. You don't have to be my enemy because we don't agree. And how about we just say, I disagree? Because when we say, why don't we agree to disagree? That came about to make it sound better and less painful when somebody doesn't like our idea or has an opposite thought. Here's a thought. If you get stabbed, it's going to hurt regardless. When you go to the doctor, and most of you are like, why you got to be so morbid or so violent? Well, think of it like this, perspective. You go to the doctor and you got to give blood, you get stabbed by a needle. It doesn't feel good, right? That's okay. You're getting the jab, the stab, for some reason. That's a good stab. A bad stab would be somebody after your life, or you trying to take your own, or accidentally stab, whatever. Let me jump back onto consequence. Not all consequences are bad. Not all consequences are good. Not all opposition is bad. Not all opposition is good. We have thoughts. We have ideas. I don't have to agree with you. You don't have to agree with me. But that doesn't have to turn us into enemies of each other. But you know what? These ideas, these thoughts, somehow, at some point in America, where we're supposed to be free to have our own thoughts, our own opinions, our own theories and philosophies without having to create enemies because of them, unless they are indeed ideas, thoughts, theories that endanger our root freedoms in America, where there is no other country like us. That's where we should rise up together. We may have different opinions. May have different thoughts. But how about we be American? How about that? And in order to keep our freedoms, to have opposition between each other that does not have to be based on evil intent or perceived or assumed threat, we have to fight together for that freedom to have that. Here we have a government that's packed with power and money that we pay and give to them, because at some point we gave that power to them, ignorantly gave it to them. Ignorantly. Some people ignorantly because they just didn't know any better. A little bit like me back in the day before I knew better. And some like you now. You're ignorant. Ignorance is not bliss. It's just not. Whether you choose it or you're just ignorant out of I just didn't know. It's not bliss. It can't be. Ignorance is dangerous because it leads us to the cliff of death. And once we get there, you know what ignorance does? As soon as we realize, some of us, that it wants to push us over the edge, it says you don't get to go back. You're going over the edge. Ambiguity does the same thing. How about we be Americans? How about we take back the power that belongs to the people? That's what our government was based on. That's why America was started. How about we stop feeding people these nefarious, insidious, poisonous ideologies that only seek to take away the liberties that were hard fought for. How about that? And how about we start rejecting these ideas, theories, and philosophies that only seek to imprison the mind and body and soul? How about that? We're free, at least for a little bit longer here in America, unless Americans decide to stand up and fight back against the establishment called government that's supposed to serve the people. You better wake up. Better wake up. There is a drone nation being created, and the vast majority are ignorantly going forward, afraid of any opposition that says otherwise. Even if that opposition says you're losing your freedom even to go, if you choose to go down the road of stupidity, for say instance, and I'm not calling everybody stupid, but there's some dumb stuff people do. I'll give you an example. There's people that want to tattoo their eyeballs. I think that's kind of dumb. I don't think necessarily that the people that are doing it are dumb. I just wouldn't be one to tattoo my eyeball. But you have the freedom to do that. You can do that. That's not going to cause me harm. You're doing something to your eyeball. That's your money. That's not my taxpayer money. You do that. You live with the consequence of that. You ain't got to wake up beside nobody but yourself. But when your ideologies, philosophies, theories, and ignorance starts to threaten both of our freedoms, I got a problem with that. You know why? Because it's taking your freedom away, it's taking my freedom away, and we're split because there's an establishment that doesn't want us to be free. Really. It just doesn't. Our government has become the closest thing to a monarchy that America has ever seen in its history. You know where monarchies thrive? In communist countries. You know where communism starts? With ideology, philosophies, and theories. If I'm told that I should hate you, if somebody plants that idea in my head, guess what? At some point, I'm going to start hating you because of all of the information that comes out that says I should hate you. Just like I hated cops and white people for a long time. I was watching movies and hearing things, and a lot of it came from the black community. Not from white people or cops. Granted, yeah, there's stuff that needs to be dealt with. Yeah, I give you that. But it's a piece of the pie, not the whole thing. And when I started waking up, I'm not woke. I'm awake. I'm conscious. I have a mind to think independently. I'm not woke. You have the freedom for a little while longer in this country to be woke. You go ahead. I used to live in that neighborhood before it was called woke. I don't live there no more. I moved on up like the Jeffersons. You can stay there if you want to, but you want to come out of the neighborhood, I'll walk with you and help you. But you know what? We're going to keep it up. We're going to keep it up. And you know what all this is doing? It's breeding weakness. Weakness of mind, weakness of will, weakness of body, weakness of taking action as Americans. America has enemies. Some of them are here. They'll show themselves soon enough. And you know what's going to happen if we don't stand up as Americans right now? We're just going to give it to them. They really won't have to fight really hard because most Americans have already been duped into thinking that the liberties we have are nothing but garbage anyway. The same liberty that they have to say that America's horrible and everything else along with that, they've already given it up. And they think they're being empowered, but really what they're being is disenfranchised and weakened. And when the sheep's and wolves clothing, or the wolves and sheep's clothing come along and say, give it to me, they'll give it over. They won't have a problem doing it. And they'll go kicking and screaming. But I want my freedom back. What freedom? You don't have freedom. You gave it to us. You don't have freedom anymore. I'm an American. I'm a black male American. Period. And I want to rock with other Americans. Period. That want to stand up and fight for our freedom that was hard fought for us. From blacks, whites, men, and women. Period. You want to give your freedom up? You go ahead. You go right on ahead and give it up. But you better not cry one tear when they're peeling it from your dead cold hands. You know why I say dead cold hands? With lethargy comes apathy. With apathy comes death. Piece by piece. What you gonna do? You gonna stand up for hard-fought freedom as an American? Or are you gonna fall for the philosophies, theories, ideologies, and movements that promise a freedom that is not freedom at all? What you gonna do? I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stand with Americans. I live in the greatest country in the world. It's a messy place too, but it's free. You don't want to be here? Why don't you go ahead and get on up out of here? Kick rocks. And go to some of these other countries that follow along with your theories, philosophies, ideologies that you want to call free. And see how free you can be over there. And when you get there, don't send a letter back saying you need help getting out. That's what you wanted. We don't want that here. I don't want that here. I'm reaching my potential here. I'm free here. I got challenges just like you. Do I like everything that America does? Nah. But guess what? At least I'm free to say it. You don't want to be here? You ain't got to be here. Bye, Felicia. Bye. You ain't got to be here. You just don't. Nobody's really keeping you here. As a matter of fact, quite honestly, you could walk across the border. Wait, but you need to know which one you could walk across right now. You can cross the Mexican border right now and just go. You really can. And get access to other countries that way. Canada's smart. They still got their border. You ain't gonna walk up in there. Nope. So, kick rocks. Go to the other countries. It's okay. Some people will miss you. Some will beg you to stay. But this is America, and you're free to leave. Have a good day.